Hello, everybody. I get the privilege of being with Chloe May Lamenzo today. And this is going to be really an awesome podcast because I'm going to give you my take on this, and it kind of goes into where we start from here. The raw ingredients of an entrepreneur can be felt and seen from a distance. And although I've gotten to know Chloe through Power Players and alumni and several times that we've really gotten to, spend time together, if you've only knew her for an hour, you could pick up on this vibe of entrepreneurship. So with that theme in mind, first of all, thank you for being here.
My pleasure.
This is not on the way to anything. It's a destination to be here. So thank you. It's a lot to think about on the way north, right? A lot of questions, right? Okay. Yes. But so many of these, I find it important to dive into kind of the formation. I'm curious always when I see something extraordinary. I'm curious, like, where did this begin? What were your early hardwirings? Who were your influences, your childhood? Kind of go into that chapter. What did life look like, say, before you were in junior high school? Those 0 to, say, 10. What did that look like? 0 to 10. Okay. Yeah.
Good clarifying question.
Yeah.
I'm the same as you. I saw that in you very early on. Actually, within the first 15 minutes of you talking, I was like, I always think about what is their childhood like? Because it's so, I sometimes I'll even come up with hypotheses about somebody and where they started, right?
Right.
Very important time. So for me, before I was 10, actually I was thinking about it on the car right here, plenty of time to think about it, was my elementary school, in fact. It was an alternative public school. So you got in by lottery because it was popular, because it was, different than the average, right? The average public school, but they still wanted accessibility. So that was their solution, right? When I was 5, I didn't get into the lottery. And I have this very, very crystal clear memory. Me and my mom lived at a house together, a bunch of roommates. So it was always very interesting because there was different people. It was kind of a bigger house, big garden, very beautiful garden, but different people coming through, right? I remember there was a lady who had a cat that peed everywhere. You just kind of learned different things, even just through the different roommates we had. That's a side note. So she came up to me in the garden one day when I was playing in the summer, and I remember her like bending down, and she was like, "Chloe, do you want to play with me for one more year?" That was the question. So as a kid,
your mom asked this.
My mom asked me this in the garden. And I mean, as a kid, I was, yes. Pretty simple answer.
Right.
Yes, I do. So that was that. That was the whole interaction. I didn't really even understand the context of it until a year later when I went to this school. And because I didn't get in the lottery that year, she knew I had to go there. She had made that decision. It was a non-negotiable for her. And I didn't grow, my family didn't have a lot of money, so going to a private school or something wasn't on the table. So that was her kind of solution for giving me the education she knew she wanted me to have. And I am so forever grateful that she did that, because this school was truly incredible. We had a native garden, a big native garden. We had a big garden that also, there was like vegetables. And when I say big, I'm talking like probably half the size of your hangar. So full-size greenhouse. We had something every year called Harvest Festival in the fall, where we're all tending to the garden. That's part of it. We had a science teacher, kind of imagine maybe Bill Nye the Science Guy, but his name was Michael. Yeah. And I remember some days where we would have our writing class, and there was also a wetlands, all on the property of the school. And it was also a beautiful school too, in terms of, if we're talking about real estate, we were talking about schools earlier during lunch. It was a 3-story historic building. And just, like the beautiful, railings.
Where was this? What?
Olympia.
In Olympia.
Olympia. So Lincoln Elementary.
Wow.
Lincoln Elementary.
Wow.
And it was incredible. The events that they did, the only thing that we did that was like normal per se was that we had to take the state tests because that was a Washington State requirement. The teachers were so passionate about what they did, they pretty much created their own curriculum. We didn't have grades. And that in itself was so formative because at that age, and I majored in psych, so I've studied psych for 4 to 6 years because I also did 2 years of community college. So I really, really appreciate that perspective of understanding the depth of how people's minds work and everything. And just in terms of like actual childhood development at that time, it's like comparing yourself to other people is not actually like something that's helpful for your development. And I had a reading disability and I didn't even know that until like later on in life because they would just have separate groups. And I happened to be at a group where I would go out in the hall and we would, do some extra reading stuff. But just because of how the classes were formatted, it was just like you were where you were at and they had different support systems for everybody. And then I think the one other piece of that elementary school that was amazing to me was we had this event every year that was it was like a public event. So like community could come, families, and every student would choose a mover and shaker every year. Are you familiar with like the term mover and shaker?
Well, kind of, yeah.
Kind of. I mean, just somebody that
choose meaning you would pick somebody out that you would describe as a mover shaker.
Correct.
Got it. Okay.
And just do a project on them. So you could choose even how you wanted to display what you learned about that individual. And then I just remember you would have your little, stand or whatever. If you did a poster, I think most people would do posters, and then people would come from the whole community. I would just remember the whole hallways of this 3-story, school was flooded with people, just intermingling, with each other and coming to learn about what the students were, why were they passionate about this person? I just remember telling people, or I remember one year I did Rosa Parks, right? And then, so yeah, that for me, that school was extremely formative. And it almost was like, truthfully, like my parents definitely influenced me in those years, 100%. But I was so, like my mom was a single mom for a lot of those years before I was 10, when I was like 4 to 10, actually, kind of in that window. I didn't see my dad a lot. And so I was just like around, she would drop me off at these different places, but they were amazing. It was like she really leaned into community at that time. And even thinking about it in this exact moment, I'm like, community matters to me so much. And so it's like, but a village takes a village to raise a child. That was, so real for my life.
Wow. Wow. I was just thinking that phrase and it reminded me of another wonderful entrepreneur that sat in this seat that was kind of raised by a village, and Lindy Wishart. And loved the attention of all of these adults raising her.
Totally. I remember I listened to her podcast.
Go back and tell me about this home that you lived in near the school with roommates. Was it your mom or your parents owned the home and they'd bring in roommates? Was it it was like a rooming house with lots of people?
Fair question.
Do you have any memory of that home that you lived in?
Yeah. It was a rent. She rented it.
But then brought in people to.
Yeah.
It was bigger than she needed.
Bigger than she needed, and I think probably bigger than she could afford at the time. She was a librarian, which actually that was also formative because I would go to the library all the time, and I loved reading. But yeah, I remember we also had like a family, like with a little baby, and I was I do have a sister, but she was born when I was 9. So for a lot of years up to, I was obviously only child. So it was kind of like interesting to interact with different people. And like, I remember I loved games since I was very young, like card games and board games. So I remember like going, making my own relationships with all these random people and like trying to, come have them play games with me. But yeah, the beautiful thing that beautiful and can be challenging thing for kids is you're so obviously adaptable to your environments.
Right.
And so, but in that place, it was actually a really cool house. I had a basement and then 3 stories, 2 stories plus a basement was the outdoors. I was a very imaginative kid. We didn't have TV ever growing up. And so I loved imaginary games. And there was like a backyard that had this kind of like really, I don't think they were fir trees, but they were needle trees. I don't know the exact variety, but it was a little miniature forest. And then that was like this little back miniature yard. And then the front yard, there was like a garage area. Oh, we had kiwis, like miniature kiwis. Have you ever had they're like a vine, but they are little bite-sized kiwis. You have to have a male and a female plant for them to produce. Beautiful big deck with like a hammock in the summer. And my memory of that house is just an adventure. It was like you came home and it was just like, it was fun, to be honest.
Right.
So yeah, hence when she asked me, do you want to play for another year? I was like, I was really bummed when we moved out of that house. And my mom did want to buy that house. And she asked the owner to buy the house. And she said no. And then funny enough, our family friend, maybe 5 years later, ended up moving in after us. And she ended up, the owner was ready to sell. And my mom's friend bought it.
Wow.
But it didn't work out for her.
Did your mom want an option or anything?
she maybe she's one of power players, right?
Right. So you have one sister that's 9 years younger than you?
Correct.
Okay, so for that first decade, you were an only child, basically. Yeah. Yeah. And okay. And is this from the same mom and dad, your sister?
We have same mom, different dad.
I see. Okay. So half sister. Yeah.
But in the heart, she's a full sister.
Right. Yeah. 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 Just trying to connect the dots. Tell me. I heard a story at lunch. Tell me a little bit more about your dad, and how many years did you have with him living together, and then tell me about that relationship.
So, up until I was 4.5, I think that's when my mom and dad are both from Connecticut, and they were high school sweethearts. Went to a boarding school up in Connecticut where they grew up, but they were day students. That school is actually very incredible. There's as you may know, probably there's some pretty interesting big schools out there in Connecticut.
Right.
But I ended up being conceived, they told me, actually in a teepee in Vermont. On an organic farm, to be very precise. Not a piece of information I necessarily wanted, but I was told by my dad, so I was like, okay, cool.
Your parents sound kind of hippie already.
Oh yeah, you're getting a hint. Yeah. I was like, there's many different kinds of hippies, but my family was hippies, 100%. And I'm proud of that, honestly, because I was learned to love, right? But yeah, my dad went to graduate from UVM, and my mom ended up transferring around, and then going her last year of college, she went to Evergreen State College in Olympia. Brings us to Olympia. And my dad, once they found out that I was growing, he ended up coming after moving from the East Coast and joining us. So I was actually, for my mom's college graduation, I'm in her pictures when she's walking. And that's, I like that. I don't know. She went all in. She leaned in. She just, she was like, we're going to do this. And yeah, we lived all in a really cute little house in Tumwater, Washington. Also, it was a small house, big garden. But now there's all these like ugly developments, those cookie cutter homes out there where I used to be able to I have memories of me and my dad walking out past our garden down the street, and it was just forest, and there was like a farm in the back, and we'd go feed horses. So it was like still, but like even Olympia has changed. Seattle, I know, has changed a lot too. It's much more developed than it was when I was even growing up. Yeah. And he just has always been, my dad has always been a, not the average person. He's been comfortable being an outlier. And I've heard stories from his childhood, like he was a very, very quiet person. Still is quite quiet, although if you talk with him, like he's actually a great conversationalist, but truly an introvert, I guess you could say. And he doesn't feel really the need to sometimes I've talked to him because he has a very amazing presence about I know for you're an introvert, but you decided I'm gonna still do what I don't necessarily want to do. Right. And
yeah. I don't know if your dad's been the same, but to do what I wanted to do, I had to get out of that introvert natural state to go do this.
Gotcha.
But I go back and forth every day. I mean, I would say right now I'm the extrovert trying to do what I really feel is valuable to do.
Totally.
But I'm very comfortable being quiet and alone by myself.
Right. They both exist.
Yeah.
He built his life around being an introvert, basically. So he doesn't. Has his little landscaping business, and he just lone wolf. He likes it that way.
Yeah.
But honestly, what I remember, like one conversation that I was less than 4 because I have so many memories before my mom and him split up, and then I didn't see him for some years, and I remember being in the car and just asking him a bunch of questions about. I just remember him always, I would use the word actually programming, just being background in psych, because I know both my mom and him were very intentional about what they fed my brain. So he was, anything is possible. That's something that he was very important for me to understand from a young age. So I remember being in the car and I was like, well, you can't like go to the, like 20 feet down, or I probably didn't say that if I was young, but you can't go super deep in the ocean and like hold your breath forever. And he just would say, yes, you can. You can't jump like on top of a mountain. Yes, you can. And he was just, playing with that idea of like, and I really started believing him. And regardless of how you perceive, energy and quantum physics and science, right? Everybody has a different perspective on that. The way that he communicated to me, and they both I think communicated to me too, like I was not just like a little kid. They were so like empowering for me from a young age,
right,
that it's influenced my whole life in terms of what I believe I can do. And so I actually used to want to do a podcast on parenting when I was in high school because both my parents had such different kind of like things that they taught me, but they were so formative for me that I was like, my mom was very authoritarian, controlling, strict, and my dad was very passive, but like very philosophical. And these extreme contrasts for me, like led me to be like who I am, just with a balance of almost these two different sides, you could say. And yeah, I used to want to do a podcast a TED Talk, because I felt like other people could benefit from understanding like these different sides of parenting and how like you can actually like utilize, instead of it being like, oh, this is so frustrating, how can you utilize those different sides to actually like develop yourself?
Do you see yourself as a combination of the librarian and sort of organic landscaper? The details matter, everything's in order, everything's in control. That's kind of what I think of when I think of a librarian.
Yes.
And then I think of just sort of the hippie landscaper that's just loving the garden and loving nature and just not really as interested in filling out the invoice or, filing returns. It's more about the work and what I'm doing.
Yes.
There, at least to me, it gives kind of the possibility for a really interesting, awesome blend.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. I would
and I
say
can
I'm
see
the product
both
of
of those sides in you. Yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
And it leads to an interesting dichotomy in entrepreneurship, or in where I find myself like through life and now, because I identify as an artist, for lack of a way to say. Like I'm a painter and a lot of people don't know that, but in high school I did art camps and like I have this whole very creative side of myself. My dad had too many clients, but we didn't work together very often, but in high school every summer, because as some people know, but I played professional soccer, so my whole life was geared towards achieving that dream of playing soccer. But my mom actually, one really formative thing she did was she just told me she's going to stop paying for my clothes or anything extra when I was, I think, like 12. So she was like, okay, if you need new underwear or new socks or like the basics. But then she just was like, I don't really know. I'm guessing it was intentional, but I remember being like, oh, that's kind of different. Like I know other kids, like their parents seem to be like getting them stuff, but I was like,
buy them a coat.
Yeah. But I was like, okay, you just roll with it. And so I was like, it forced me to have a very entrepreneurial mind from a young age, and now I'm grateful for it.
Yeah.
Right. And so it's like, it's those little things that are like, both my parents, it's funny because they're not, I wouldn't call them business people, but they're brilliant people. And they're academics. They go deep into things. Like my mom is one of the best researchers I've ever met. Like, I mean, tell her something and like she'll come back and you'll be like, oh, well, thank you so much. Like, I just learned like a lot more than I expected.
It seems like you forgot something. Right. Yeah.
So
wow.
definitely, I'm very grateful, honestly, for all the different things that I took from them, and especially just even the not having TV thing. I mean, that I know it's really rare these days, but I do want to be a mom. I don't know if it's adopted or, giving birth myself, but either way, I do love children, and when I find myself in that role, that's something I'm going to think very deeply about, is the relationship with technology, just because it was so influential in my life. But then obviously I live in such a different world than when I was growing up.
Well, and I think that's a really unusual statement, because you're how old right now?
27.
27, yeah. So to hear someone in their mid-20s say that they really didn't have TV as an influence when they were young, it's one thing if you're me, right?
Totally,
I mean, TV was just coming out, so there wasn't much TV,
right.
because it just didn't exist. But here, certainly, you can go back to when you were in these years, and it's not only exists, it's not just TV, it's all of the internet and all the streaming and all the everything is all there. And
we didn't have that quite yet. I mean, the internet, yes, but it was still
younger. But it's what you've known and grown with. Yes. So to have an appreciation of creating, of imagining,
Definitely.
and being kind of on your own kids wise, the ability to entertain yourself, explore, those kinds of things can become your greatest asset as an adult. You're not uncomfortable with it. Matter of fact, you love it. You just go check it out. You're not afraid to go, well, I don't know about this. Let's go wander in and see what's happening here.
Yes.
Versus some people are like, oh, we don't have an invitation. We can't do that. We can't do that, So the one interesting characteristic that they've done all kinds of studies on about entrepreneurs is the one quality that is consistent among all great entrepreneurs is that they're curious. And curious is a willingness to explore. You're not satisfied with somebody else's answer. You want to know for yourself.
True. So
I can see that in you, because you're always asking questions. Everywhere I go, you're asking somebody questions, and that's what entrepreneurs do.
Totally, yeah. I was always the kid in school that people were like, oh, she's got. They're like, oh, can we go? We want to leave.
Can we just not? Yeah, right. Okay, so mom, a librarian. You're okay. So when did you mentioned having to figure out the non-essentials at about age 10 or 12. When did the world of business, making money, what am I going to do in that? When were those thoughts going through your mind about, I've got to figure out the living on my own thing? Were you thinking about that at age 12, 13, 14?
Not totally, I would say. I was thinking about making money, though. I know my stepdad, actually, once we moved in with my stepdad, was like lemonade stands. He had us do lemonade stands, and that was, I remember, he's an elementary school teacher, actually, at that school that I went to now, Lincoln Elementary. So kind of interesting synchronicity there. But yeah, I looking back on it, I can totally tell it was just, looking at, okay, so we have to buy X amount of, the frozen cans of lemonade, and then looking at the overhead, right? And then
water it down a little more than normal just to make it last longer.
Right. I was like, maybe I did that. And yeah, so just that was kind of like my first memory of like business, right? And I think that was, probably like 8 to 11 in that window. And then it was, I walked dogs all around where I lived, childcare, babysitting, and landscaping and gardening. So I was just, those 3 things, I was just always I was out in the community, talking to people. I've just been looking for somebody to do that. Okay, perfect. Here's my number. But honestly, I wasn't so focused on like money and business as much as soccer. You know what I mean? Because like for me, when I started playing when I was 5, I played my first season. There's like people make t-shirts that say eat, sleep, soccer. Like that was real for me. Like it just was, any decision I made was going back to that. And I remember the times that I was like, some of the times that I had quite a bit of anger. Both my parents, that is another piece too, but both my parents have pretty extreme, or my dad has worked through that, and my mom has come a long way too. Give her credit where credit's due. They had extreme like anger things. My dad growing up, like I guess you would say he had anger troubles. That's what you could call it, different things. But that was something that I experienced too. Was there was like a lot of red in my body in terms of like rage. Like I had that, but when I think that's for me, sports was just, I needed that. It was such a good channel. Like if I didn't work, like if I wasn't running or being physical, I was just like, I had a lot of energy. So now, I know I have a lot of energy to this day, but I've just learned all the different tools to channel it. I think I might have kind of sidetracked there a little bit.
No, I think it's really interesting because the motivations that you get focused on. So this was a soccer or die kind of thing from you were 5 on, right? Right, which is very unusual at that young age to be so. But I think maybe, as you mentioned, it was a useful outlet to just sort of vent what you were experiencing a little bit. What was if it's too personal, just cut it out. But the anger or that kind of tension at home, was it directed at you, or was it just their own lives struggling at the time?
Yeah, no, I'm an open book. It wasn't super directed at me, although I will say, and my dad he's a super open book, so I'm fine discussing it. When I was 16, he actually told me that when I was a baby, or like very young, toddler baby, he would like physically abuse me when I cried. Because for him, emotions were such a uncomfortable thing that it just like was like he didn't go super deep into it. When he told me this, he didn't go super deep into it, but it was like, it just was like a response, it was like reactive. But he did observe, like he didn't want to do that. So he'd said that he took himself to therapy to address that. And that's one thing that I always have respected so much about my dad, is his honesty and his always wanting to grow. And taking also, I guess, like responsibility for, and I was surprised he even told me all those years later, but I was actually grateful he did, because I didn't like cry almost. Like I would go like years without crying. And my mom was like my mom, it's interesting because they're both like a dichotomy of like, if you meet them, they're very light and amazing people, but they have a contrast of like these intenser dark sides, and also these like very light loving sides. And so I don't exactly know like where I can say like why there was so much of that anger feeling sometimes in me, but I imagine it was just like kind of young parents are doing their best. And so at the end of the day, I know I always felt loved, and I felt like, and my mom fed me. And that in itself for me was like huge, but like there was like, I think some like emotional trauma things that they hadn't had time to address in their past.
Right.
And so that there was some cycles that I think just got passed down a little bit. And when it comes to my own healing journey and my own process of my traumas, which I have actually experienced a lot of traumas in my life, is like how I want to end, I really want to be a part of ending some of those cycles. So I'm like, I was like very deliberate of myself about not having a child on not planned, because I was like, I had so much myself to work through that I'm like, before I was to actually put something into another human, I want to take care of my inside.
Right.
Yeah. But yeah, I think it was
and yet that's probably a process, right? We're probably always working on ourselves to a certain extreme. But
yes.
How old were your folks when they had you?
My mom was 21. So,
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah, young,
pretty
super young.
Yeah.
Yeah, you see a trend nowadays where people are getting married less and they're getting married much later
Right.
than back then.
Right.
Yeah.
It's very
And I think in part, I mean, the problem with being 21 is that you think you know everything, but when you look back on it, you really realize you knew nothing. And so to be a parent at 21 is a big responsibility.
I can't imagine, myself, because like I'm 27.
I was a parent at 22.
Gosh,
22, yeah.
Wow. It changes everything. I know.
It changes everything. I mean, everything.
Literally,
it's all of a sudden, every motivation, everything you do, it's like some little kid is depending on you to do certain things. And if you don't do them, they're gone. They can't do for themselves.
Right.
You know, so
I
it's,
actually didn't know that you were 22 was your first.
yeah. Amy just turned 45. Yep. 22. So, and I there's no regrets on that. It's just that it does change everything. I mean, I actually chuckle at, you know, people that are in love, they're going to have kids. They go, well, we're going to have kids, but it's not going to change anything. We're just going to take them with us everywhere, and it'll all just be the same. We're not going to stop doing what we're doing now. And I go, well, let me know how that goes for you, because everything changes.
Right.
Everything. And it's not that that's a bad thing. It's just now somebody's depending on you. So
definitely.
Yeah. Well, I think what's interesting, you had young parents and no siblings, so that those years became the three of you, those early years.
Yes, and they fought a lot. That's the thing. It wasn't. I don't think it was directed on me a lot, but I think I was just around.
Yeah.
Intense energy.
So does soccer still, for you, serve as an outlet, as well as you've become very accomplished at it, obviously? But do you find this, I got to go get on the field and run, I got to go work this out? Do you have that feeling?
That's a very easy answer. Yes. Capital Y, yes. Yes. Just before we started, the phone rang and it was Jim and Katie, and Katie sat here and said, no, dancing for me absolutely is a passion, but it's necessary. And I went, whoa, that's good. Oh no. Oh, yeah.
And Jim looked at me like, oh, you have no idea. Like, if she doesn't get this in, she's not whole.
Right.
And I hope when Jim and Katie listen to this, they're not, I'm not exaggerating, but it was more than just, oh, I love doing this, or it was more than that, just, oh, it's good exercise. Those all are good reasons. But it was like, no, this is like my connection to myself. Yes. I have to have it or I'm not right. Kind of thing.
No, it's relatable. Yeah. I mean, a lot of people I think can relate to that. I even truthfully viewed soccer as family. Mm-hmm. So it went it was like there was tiers of it. There was the personal relationship. There was the, it was there as when certain other needs weren't being met for me. Right. I think, what was I going to say? The recent, or when I figured out that it was actually a little too deep. I was in college and I realized that if I was to have I just had this thought that if I had gotten a serious injury, knock on wood, that never happens, it's not happened to date, I would be finished mentally. Because the only times I've been depressed in my life is when I wasn't progressing in soccer. Mm-hmm. So I had a period where my freshman year in college, I went to a Division III school where I love the academic program, and I would say I was falsely advertised the soccer program, and I was like, okay, let's go. I thought I could kind of the academic side I wanted and the soccer, and I was excited, but it was just it was even worse than my high school team. It was the level, and I got all the awards at the end, best athlete, probably literally 13 awards, and and the coach was aren't you happy? And I was like, not at all. And then he told me, because I transferred after that year, he was like, is there anything we can do to make you stay? And I was like, no.
Yeah.
Absolutely not.
Right.
Like I want to be the worst person on the team, not the best person on the team. That's not. I'm trying to go pro. I can't go pro by being surrounded by people that I'm better than.
Right. To think I'm great.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Because as a pro, I'm not so great yet. Right. Yeah.
So it's just that I found that my correlation between my mental health and soccer were so interconnected that, and I this is I got a 1.2 GPA my first semester in college.
Nice. Passed.
Well, I was on
Barely.
academic probation, and I think I had like a 3.85, and I actually graduated college with a 3.8. So I threw something.
You tripled your. I just talked to someone who doubled it, and I went, "Wow, double your GPA. That's really good. You tripled it."
Yeah, I was like that's quite a contrast. But it made me aware of the fact that relationship was like, I didn't know what there was a lack of control, right? And that piece of, that I like control was like, I really need to do some introspective work here, right? And so that conscious thought, I think it was honestly my junior year in college, is what set me on one of my like internal, I guess you could say, like reprogramming journeys. Cause I for some reason was aware of like reprogramming when I was in high school. And so I've been consciously reprogramming myself since high school. And I'll kind of like do generally like focus on one area at a time, just because it takes quite a bit of energy to, really, and I like to move fast. So it's like, I found that it's most efficient to like not do like, I'm going to do this, but actually we've had conversations about that recently about focusing.
Focus, right. Yeah. And okay, so let me kind of circle around back with this, and I want to talk more about soccer. It's more than just a great sport that you love and have gotten good at. It's a Zen thing for you. It's an inside thing for you. And yet here's this extremely accomplished athlete. Tell me about the disciplines that you employ to keep your skills at that level up. Because you don't just get there and then you're there. It's constant. What are the disciplines? How much time? What does the process look like now, even though you're not playing proactively right now? Tell me about the disciplines of soccer to really get good.
And you mean like, it could be now or before?
Exactly.
Either way,
Yeah.
So the funny thing about this question is that for me, my discipline always stemmed from passion and love. So when you truly love something and have a passion for something, discipline becomes a lot easier. That being said, for me, it was just a matter of I always strove to be the best. And it was not best I could be, but also I'm extremely competitive. And so I wanted to be the best of people I was around. So I would just work backwards from like, if I want to be excelling and, fighting for my starting lineup spot, basically, what do I have to do to get there? So I remember before my freshman year, going into tryouts my freshman year in high school, I would train 6 days a week in the summer. So, wake up like 8 a.m., which was early for me at the time, and do, like hill sprints. And it was also colder in the morning, so that was motivational to get up that early. And it just meant creating my own training regimen. I didn't do it with anybody else, right? And I think that's the thing that I see as a differentiator between, and tons of people have spoken on this, of course, like the difference between somebody going pro and somebody playing college, that is the people that are willing to do the work with nobody looking, right? That's just a classic thing you could think this in the business, sports, whatever the field is, like, what are you doing when nobody's watching? And so that was for me, is like, I would just train so hard. And the funny thing is, when I showed up to tryouts my freshman year, I blew everybody. Like I was over prepared.
Right.
And I had built this whole thing in the head that I had to what it would take to get on varsity my freshman year. So I was like, I need to train super intense.
Right.
And I was like like, I was like, when we were doing like the exercises that people were dying, and I was like, oh, like, are you guys okay?
Don't tell me this is the first time you've ran this hill.
and that was probably honestly one of the first moments where I realized, like, oh, not everybody's like me.
Yeah.
Kind of like, I was like, oh, like, I thought everybody was doing this.
Okay. So
Yeah.
I want to pause. You started with passion. That the passion piece, it wasn't work. It was, you were passionate about it. So it made discipline much easier because you love doing it.
Correct.
Okay. Set that over here. This is not only about soccer, this is about success as a whole.
For sure.
You know, to do something every day that you can't stand, it's a matter of time.
I don't like running, by the way, just to be clear.
Right? Okay. So passion. You said over prepared. Well, is there such a thing, right? Because you saw the results. Everybody else is struggling. You're not only not struggling, you're wondering, when does the meat come here? You know, I mean, are we going to get the real stuff? Let's go, you know? So I think that builds confidence, that when you are over prepared, you walk in knowing you've got this, right? I also think that garners respect, because they see, listen, you're not struggling here. You're obviously really on top of this. Now you garner respect about those people that are around you. So I think there's themes to things which then motivate you to go, okay, what am I passionate about? Right? What can I do all day long and not get tired of, because I just love it so much? And when I do that, I get confidence and I get acknowledged as someone to be respected in this, because I know what I'm doing. I don't think you get to success without figuring those things out. You can get lucky now and then, but this is how you create it and can plan on it. Okay?
I would agree.
Take some of that now and this entrepreneurial blood, because you have it. Tell me about one of your business passions.
Yes.
And we talked about it a couple of days ago. Focus is hard, but just pick one and put it through that filter. Is it something you love so much you could just do it every day? Right? Pick one. Let's pick real estate.
Okay.
You have a passion for real estate.
I do, yeah.
Okay. Among many other things, though.
No, of course, yeah.
But based on this filter, is it something that you could do constantly, just obsessed with the art form of real estate, the acquisition, the negotiation, the ownership, the management, everything about it? Is it that for you? Is it like soccer? You can be honest.
No, no. I have like, of course, so many things to say. This week, well, honestly, life in general has been, I've had so many, I would say, miracles and breakthrough moments. This last week, I had multiple, like, very powerful conversations surrounding real estate and this topic of focus, right? Because I'm truthfully in this like transitional place where I have the ability, I have a plentiful amount of opportunities, and which is amazing, right? Exciting. And I'm in this place where I have this decision of the next, you could say, the next step of my journey. I can choose, where do I want to channel this energy? So it's a very interesting place to be in. And I have to reference this really amazing conversation I had with Wally, a fellow power player, somebody we just became very close in Maui. And he said, it's always good to use the language of your audience, right? So we were on the phone the other day, and he goes, I'm going to talk about soccer for a second. And he said, what did you do when you had your goal of playing pro? Was like, what was your decision-making process during that period of time? Like, what did it look like? Was it hard for you to say no? Like, just, that was a question. And I just was like, I kind of laughed, because it was actually really easy for me to say no, because I probably went to 10 parties in my whole, like through my 4 years of high school, you know, something like that. Like, and I was like a professional at saying no, you know, it was just, everything was it was easy for me to make sacrifice because if I had to take a bus from Olympia to Seattle to make my training at 10 a.m. the next morning, I'm not going out on a Friday. Like, I'm taking myself to bed. And there was just, between some different conversations I had this week, it was so amazing for me to have that perspective of like, I know that when I channel, and when I'm an all-in person, I know when I channel how powerful it can be, but, and the conversation with you too is just like, what excites me about, now circling back to the real estate thing, because I'm having a lot of introspective work this week, particularly, is, and the reason, honestly, the thing that made me really want to speak to you in the first 5 minutes of you talking, the first time I came to the hangar, was negotiation. That, like, and truthfully, me and my mom, my mom's side of the family is Italian, so me and my mom have this Italian blood. There's the fiery side that's very real for anybody who's gone to Italy. You can probably sense that from the energy when you're there a little bit. So we argued a lot, and I used to want to be a lawyer because I was like, I know I could be a killer in that space, to be honest. But I didn't want to go to law school, right? And so when I do kind of like an analysis of my skill sets, like I'm passionate about negotiation and I'm passionate about solving problems. And that's very broad, of course, but when I look at it in a real estate sense, especially because for me, success is being financially free, and I want to be financially free because I love giving, right? That's actually what motivates me. It's not really like money, but it's impact and being able to be generous I am getting this last, honestly, few months when I've been going a little deeper into like what area of real estate I want to focus on, is I really want to develop my tools and just I already would say I'm a decent negotiator, but I want to be, I would love to be like known as somebody who like, oh, put her in a room and like the deal is going to get done and everybody's going to leave smiling or something. Like it's going to be win-win-win. Like I love a win-win situation. And I believe there's a way to do, like, it's just it's a mindset thing, which is why I'm very grateful that honestly my real estate education started with you, because I remember being like nervous going into the first Power Player because I was like, I'm in, you know, it's easy to get a little bit of imposter syndrome or whatever you want to call it, of there's these people that are, you know, their whole careers. And you were like, no, it's actually a good thing. It is. And you said that and it just stuck with me. And when I was in the space, I was like, he's so right. I was looking at all these other people that were, you know, 10, 15 years older than me. And I could literally, like, I swear I could see their eyes, like the way that, you know, you can read somebody's eyes and how they're processing. They were trying to, like, it just was like tough.
Sure.
It was
They're
tough.
trying to get out of their own way.
Yes. Yeah. And I was over there just like literally like soaking it up like a sponge.
Picture it this way, Chloe. Picture you've got a 4-year-old that's just got a lot of energy. This 4-year-old girl has got a lot of energy. Okay. And here's a 20-year-old girl, that same girl had a lot of energy, and parents just kind of sent them off to do whatever they enjoyed doing. And the 20-year-old girl played soccer along the way and had fun and did this and co-ed that and little pickup game here. And, oh, yeah, do you play soccer? Oh, I've learned to play soccer. Okay. Picture taking the 4-year-old and you starting with the 4-year-old and training them, or inheriting the 20-year-old and saying, I want you both to become great soccer players. Where do you stand the better chance? You see, this 4-year-old doesn't know anything.
Every time.
And everything that you tell them to do is for a purpose, to get this particular piece of the game down or this skill down and learn it once and learn it the right way and understand it and absorb it. And all of a sudden, this girl at 4, by age 9, could kick the 20-year-old's ass because one's been trained from the beginning and had no bad habits, right? and this 20-year-old's running and kicking the ball with her toe, and
Right.
and
Yes.
just doesn't really get it.
Yeah.
My Ryan plays a lot of soccer, and his daughter's a phenom like you were at that age, freshman starting on varsity, right? But that girl was trained from day one by Ryan, who is a hell of a soccer player and very competitive, and so it's that kind of thing. So that when I see energy and talent, and a clean slate and enough humility to say, I don't know much about real estate. Oh man, my tail starts wagging because you can do in 8 years what it would take another person 30 years to do.
And I'm grateful to have, met you when I'm the age. I mean, you could always say, okay, you could start at 16, you could start, The amount of people that come up to me in your community, they're like, I wish I was
I wish I'd started this when I was your age.
Yes,
right.
The amount of people.
Yeah.
So I think I'm the game. Obviously, taking the time to gain the clarity is important, of course. But I know, like, what doesn't excite me, for example, I mean, most people, I know everybody's so different, because I was going to say, like, filling out the paperwork and all that stuff, like, some people actually genuinely like that stuff, right? We're all different. But for me, I've always been a communicator, like, I used to be actually, like, very introverted and shy, and I've slowly trained myself to be just not that way. But I believe that where I am the most of an asset is, like, in the actual conversations, connecting with people, and that's just such a huge part of real estate. And so that, and the other thing I've also learned is something about, because people, it was very close multiple times in my life to getting my, becoming an agent, like getting my license. And I never did. Like, there was something that just I didn't feel something in me to do it. And not that I'm opposed to at some point, but more so when I've talked to certain people about, like, their residential flips, or, I'm buying this, single family home. Like, I didn't feel anything. Then, shout out to Steve Nye. He's we've been getting closer, and I'm really grateful for our friendship. Is, like, when he's talked to me about all these different types of, like, commercial deals and going into that world, that's when I actually feel something in my body. I don't like small things, which sounds funny, but I just like big things. I like solving big problems. Like, the reason I am an entrepreneur in a lot of different industries is because I see large scale problems, and I genuinely I know that I can influence and change them. Because I'm so aware of how powerful my energy is. But the thing that connects back to the focus thing is that I also understand that, because I think I've been developing my mindset, my entrepreneurial mindset, for like a decade now, is and my confidence too, I'm a very confident person, is like, I kind of am operating, I realized this week too, I'm operating like I'm a multimillionaire, when I also need to humble myself and be like, you earn the right to working on all these different opportunities. It's just something that I need, like, in terms of, I have to create tools for myself that are like, okay, it's not a problem to, like, it's a beautiful thing actually to have big goals, right? And that's why I can accelerate so quickly, I say, in the business world. But I also have been getting very real with myself that I'm like, no, like, I have a gap in some skill sets here, and I need to get a little dirty in that space. So,
well, and I think that's identifying the vehicle that you're going to drive, and driving it, and becoming competent with it, and seeing it work. You're at that early stage of what vehicle do I want to drive?
Right.
But once you make that decision, that's when focus comes in, right? And then you start driving it, and then you set up measurable goals that say, okay, can I go this fast? Can I go this fast? Liken it to, I can think of a lot of young women that that I know you admire, like Alexandra or Katie Kelly or, or Laurel Kerr, where, they didn't start doing what you see right now.
of course.
They started here with a goal to get there. and the measurable steps along the way. You don't say, oh, I love soccer, I'm going to be a pro. No, there's where you are and what you've got to work to, right? And measurable goals. I tell everybody that wants to go here, I say, listen, I just want to have you make X amount for 2 years in a row in this world and show yourself you can do that. Then we'll add a zero. Then we'll add another zero. And that's, I don't think you need to stay there a long time, but it's more proving to yourself that you have the confidence of finding an opportunity,
Right.
negotiating an opportunity, closing it, doing what needs to be doing, pulling money out, selling it, however you're going to monetize it, and going, there, I did that.
Right.
Because now you've taken that lap around the track,
Totally.
and your mindset upgrades
Yes.
because you've done it.
Yes.
You don't get to upgrade until you've done it.
Yes.
It's like all this practice, going out and winning your first game and winning it decisively goes, note to self, all of that adds up to this. So
Right.
what it does is it doubles down on what you know, and now you expect to win, and you expect to win bigger every time.
Right.
I love it that you have so many people that you're learning from. It also seems to me, this is an observation that I think is explained, but I'd like you to explain it, is that you're extremely comfortable with a group of people, usually much older than you. Matter of fact, I think the only time I've seen you hanging with people your own age is when I went and watched you play soccer one time.
That's funny. Yeah. Good. Good observation.
They all seem to be about your age. I didn't ask them, but they all, really great, accomplished young women soccer. But when I see you in other spaces, you seem to gravitate toward learning from people much older than you. I think that's that only child that is looking up adults being your own influence, not necessarily friends and siblings.
True.
Yeah,
That's fair. I do honestly, a lot of my closest friends are like in their 50s, truthfully. And I mean, I don't think too deeply about it. I just, I think it's, I believe in like frequencies and all that stuff. So I think it's an alignment of, well, it's a clarity on maybe, and I think clarifying my specific goals is what I'm, needing in this moment in time. But my clarity about who I am and my mission and my vision, like I could tell people that, any day of the week in terms of, and that is something where a lot of people I connect with my age is they're just confused, and there's nothing wrong with confusion, but it's like, but what are the questions you're asking? Right. And that's hard work. And so I think that's where I find myself just more like the conversations and the literal, like, honestly, just the level of capacity of who you are and your depth and your whatever. I find to connect with people that are, in their older generation. That's just, they feel like my people. I don't know how else to say it.
I think in part because they've sort of arrived at something and you're looking. Let's play a fun game here. Like the game is, where have you been, just not yet. Like if I were to say, okay, Chloe, 5 years from now, just 5 years. We can all picture 5 years. It goes really fast. Where are you living?
I would say I'll be living in 3 different places in the world. Like I see myself having a international real estate portfolio, and some of my goals are global, like they are in different countries. And so Washington, I do want to be for part of the year. Okay. I love it. I always leave to come home, I say. I graduated from UNC Asheville. So I love the Blue Ridge Mountains, and I've always wanted to have property in North Carolina. But I see myself being a public speaker, to be honest. And a lot of feedback I've gotten is that I inspire people. Funny enough, I actually don't like recognition and attention. That was something that also was, I think, passed down from my dad, because he had like this extreme like not wanting attention, and I used to like argue with people when they would compliment me, and that's a whole thing I've like worked through. But for me now, it's not about, it's just not about me. I view myself as like a channel to move the needle forward, and like, how can we make the world, I just want to leave the world a better place than I found it, right? So I genuinely see myself going and speaking in different venues in the world. I mean, there's different areas that I think
out of country, where do you have a home base?
I mean, I want to have for fun home, like places I want for like more so like less about business but more about leisure, is Italy and Costa Rica. Those are two places. But I've never gone to Dubai, and I keep having these. I actually have a woman who has a PR media company in Dubai who wants to do business with me, and I keep having these like weird synchronicities of Dubai coming in. So I'm very drawn to Dubai, although I just kind of starting to research about, I mean, it's an interesting place for sure. A lot of every place is.
Very interesting. Yeah.
So yeah, I see myself doing business in Dubai.
Okay. So next, where have you been? Just not yet. What business or businesses? Because you have all these opportunities that you could focus and dive into. I think I know of 4 of them that seem very unrelated. Restauranteering, let's call it that, social media, that real estate, that's 3. Well, soccer is 4th, but I'd say that's more of a passion than a business at this point.
We are growing a fitness and health movement, so that's turning into a business thing. But yes.
Okay. Well, what do you see any one of these being the center focus?
Yes.
Okay.
So when I became very clear about like my other goal dream, aside from being a professional athlete, I actually thought about a very specific thought that was, when I die in the business world, I want to be known as somebody who was brilliant on creative business models. That was just a thought that was stirred from a course I took in college, and where everything is forming, and one thing I've observed is that like I don't expect other people to understand my vision, and that's something that I've just kind of settled with. I do agree about focus and channeling energy in certain ways, but what I do is actually extremely intentional, and I understand the synergies and how they all connect together, but I don't think everybody's mind works like mine does. So even though it doesn't make sense to everybody, there is actually very specific connections between everything that I'm doing, and it's not random. But that's a longer conversation for another time. For your question is like, I very, very, where I found myself is my LLC is C. Lamenzo Consulting. And I got that a couple years ago before I even built out any of my services. I worked in, as you know, construction the last 2 years, which has brought me so many valuable lessons and knowledge and all those things. And so the synergy between real estate, private equity, and like owning businesses and business consulting, so being able to like help businesses scale and grow, and how all those things fit together, especially as we're having a generation that, they're calling it like the big wealth transfer. And I just have conversations with the different generations, and it's like there's such a disconnect between a younger generation, older generation in terms of like wanting to pass on their legacy, that being able to help people. I want to be in that space of the intersection between those things, because I feel like my skill sets and what makes me excited and passionate lie in that intersection between those 2 things.
It's helping people kind of at the twilight years of their life and career, transition things to those causes, et cetera, that they're leaving behind. Interesting. Remind me, I want to get you another power player I want you to talk to. Her name is Tash Salas. and she's in New York, and very, very similar goals and passions, and very sharp. She's, very, very, very sharp. So you get along with her. The interesting thing about building, taking it from your vision to implementation is that usually it takes a certain amount of buy-in by those that you need to involve in this vision, right? It could be investors, it could be a lot of practical pieces, it could be sellers that you've got to get a yes from too. And so explaining your vision, explaining with clarity exactly what this is and why they should get on board is a big part of getting to any place.
For sure.
Now, some things don't need buy-in. You can create it yourself, and it's a product or service that all of a sudden the world's aware of it, and buy-in is simply, are they going to join or not? But usually building a business takes some buy-in with those who believe in the vision, usually. And so I am really curious to hear how that's going to play out, that getting it out of your head into a package that people can 100%. Go, I'm in.
Yeah, I really love what Mel, I don't remember her last name.
Yeah. Melissa Dorman. Yeah.
Yes. In terms of like that, that's to me, in essence, we have a lot in common as well, because what she created is helping. The reason a lot of, in my opinion, from observation, the older generation doesn't want to pass along. Like I talked to a fellow the other day, and I was just talking about his business, and he was like, I would rather just sell my property than pass along my business. If I don't find somebody worthy of carrying on all these relationships that I've had for 20 plus years, I will just cancel the bit, finish it, And so but there's a lack of education for this younger generation surrounding exactly what you teach, what so many other people are now going out in the world and teaching the younger generation. And so that to me is a big passion as well, is just like, how can we keep it, just what I'm doing myself. I'm walking the walk, because I can't teach until I walk the walk. So that's where I'm at in my journey. But I want to be a model. I'm somebody who I really like to live by example. Yeah. I don't like talkers. I've never been a talker. So I'm where I'm at, and I'm proud of definitely where I'm at and where I've come from, but just step by step, Right. How can I learn what I want to empower others to do, and then be able to, then I think it'll be easier for people to want to sell their business. There's still amazing businesses out there. AI is not like, I think AI is just kind of, it's a new thing, right? So everybody's talking about it, but it's like, people are people. People love community. People love interaction. It's going to be utilized, and it's a tool, and it's helpful, but I don't think, my prediction at least, it's not going to have as big of an impact as some people are saying. It's gonna, of course, it's shaking up things. I
agree. The people side of it, and you look at this potential seller of a business that you referred to. I don't know if that was just a person, or just that type of person that would just let his business go if they couldn't find the right person to sell it to. Well, what are they looking for? They're looking to hand over relationship. And so that's a very sacred thing. 100%. Right? How do you do that? How do you bring somebody in that the baton of relationship gets passed from you to them, and they service your people like you would have serviced it? Exactly. It's a huge thing. And so that ability is not something AI is going to orchestrate anytime soon. No. Right? It's a trust thing. It's a feeling thing. You're going to treat them like I've treated them. That's what I built this business on. Yes. And if you can do that, yes, I'll sell you the business, the building, the everything, if you do that. Right. Okay. But if you can't do it, I'd rather just end it than mess it up. Right? Exactly. I don't want to see what I've built go the other direction, and now people are bitching about it, and no, I couldn't deal with that. Right. And his name, right. Right. So many layers. But.
Yeah.
So that's the skill set but again, that's getting buy-in. That's getting someone to say, okay, your vision is this. Convince me, right? Convince me that you're going to do right by all of this. And so that skill set of negotiation and sincere passion, it's got to be there to follow through like that.
100%.
Right? Yeah. Yeah. Give me a list of the things in your entrepreneurial mind. Don't worry, nobody will steal your big ideas, but I mentioned a couple. You've got opportunities coming left and right. How does one choose? How do you choose where to focus?
I feel like I should be asking you this question. But
Well, but it really, the question is answered inside you, right? That's why I'm asking you, because it's kind of like, what are the criteria? Do you want? Let me give you what I mean by that. Just as like, for example, are you the type that could go to X location every day, check in at a certain place, have to be there, and leave at the end of the day? Or do you need freedom of flexibility of space? Okay, well, that may have something to do with one of these choices, right? Do you want to manage your own time? For example, if you're in the, breakfast business, well, you're on from 3:30 in the morning till 11. Does that work for you? I have a lot of power players that go, I just got sick of having a food cart that was open for breakfast because it meant I got up at 3:30 and it was a great entrepreneurial idea, but I didn't think that part out, right?
yes.
So freedom of travel, of movement, freedom of time.
I see.
What type of minimum potential financial gain requirement is there? Are you going to take on a job that you absolutely love? You could do it all day long, but it pays $12,000 a year. Does that matter?
That's a good question.
You right? You see what I mean? All of these, you start asking these kind of questions, and it kind of self-narrows things down. Are you wanting to create something that is eventually becomes passive, to where now I think about it twice a year, but it produces every single month for me?
Right.
Well, certain businesses have the potential of doing that. Others have no such potential. If you don't do X, Y isn't going to happen. That kind of thing,
Yes.
Do you want something that you can be all over the world with a laptop and be running your businesses?
Right.
Do you want something that's physical, that you're getting your movement steps in
Right.
while doing what you do? Or is that a separate category of your life?
Yeah. Thank you for explaining, because it gave me time to process.
Yeah.
Well, okay, yeah.
And the list could go on and on.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
You see what I mean?
Definitely.
Yeah.
That you hit two of them for sure: freedom of time and freedom of place. Yeah, those are two for me, for sure. I was in a W-2 job for the last 14 months or so, but it thankfully was more of an outcome based W-2. So I'd still had some freedom, and that was a good. I like that balance a little bit, because I do like structure, but I know I have the ability to create a structure and follow it, right? Because if I just have the whole, this is what I'm learning too in this transitional period, is if I just have, a whole week and I can do whatever I want with every hour of that day, I do need a little bit more like, okay, I'm showing up at this time, because I do best with like a balance, I guess, of the freedom, but also whether it's self-created or by somebody. I would prefer to actually self-create the structure. So yeah, I would say freedom of time, freedom of place, infinite potential for growth is something that I became very clear about recently, because previously I thought that there was like, I could, I actually wanted to work to the point where I could potentially have equity in the company. I wanted to help the experience of helping scale the construction company that I would then be offered. Like, hope if I worked hard enough, in my mind I was like, oh, okay, if I bring enough value and they'll want me to be a part of, the company, right? Doesn't always play out the way you hope. And so, but then I started feeling like I was in a box, and I hate that feeling. That's especially, as an entrepreneur, you do not want to feel like you're in a box.
Right.
So potential for growth. And that comes with, just like learning. Like I'm very, that when I'm doing my evaluating right now is like who I'm in business with and the circles I'm in, how much can I, learn and grow in that environment. There's one other one. It's not coming to me at the moment, but I think
Let me give you a few more that
Okay.
I would ask you about.
Yeah.
Like, okay, to plan way ahead, right? You start this business, you start throwing yourself into it. Is it a business that I've started, that I've invested in now, I've focused on, it's growing? Is it a business that can absorb and adapt to family, to children, to those sorts of things that may be coming in your life?
right. Yeah.
I've seen models, for example, of a consulting business that blew up. It was great, but they were on an airplane 300 days a year. Well, all of a sudden, here comes this other choice in life, which is a partner and children. And all of a sudden, the business model, they can't do that now.
right.
Physically just can't pull it off. So now what? Can you adapt the model to fit that reality?
Yes.
Can you get somebody to do now the piece that you did that you thought only you could do? Can you train it out? In other words, always thinking about how can I build something that can run itself? Because then my life can go in a lot of directions, but what I've built isn't affected or needs to be dismantled as a result.
That's powerful.
Make sense? Yeah.
Yes.
These are the things that when you realize that, I should have worked that into my design.
Calculation.
Because now with this isn't going to work.
Totally.
And you have to redo things. Redoing things is a lot harder than doing them to begin with.
Right. Which is funny you say that, because a lot of the businesses that I'm initially talking to for consulting is kind of targeting that exact thing of people that they're like, oh, I'm feeling stuck. Like, I want to get out of operating, and how can I extract myself? And that's where it comes down to like a systems thing oftentimes.
Yep.
And so that's really what I am. And I think that is 100% like, teachable. Is like, if you find a systems that work, then you can, one of my business partners, he has, like online universities where he's teaching other people, and then those universities can then supply the businesses that he's creating. So it creates like this but it's like, then yes, he's the one that is initially doing it, but then he's training people to basically replicate what he's found to be extremely successful. So then now you can have an army of youths.
Sure.
And so that's a very like kind of
makes you appreciate a guy like Richard Branson, who owns 300 and some companies, but he's just one person. How does he run 300 and some companies? Well, he doesn't. He just owns them, and he empowers people, trains them. You do it. You grow it.
Exactly.
Shares the wealth. You're an owner in
Yes.
it. That kind of thing.
Yes.
Yeah. It's these are all worthy thoughts when you're choosing that venture. We just left alumni, and Don Iman gets up there and says, "Well, it started with this, and now it's this, and I'm expanding here." But really, he works on that business, effectively once a month. He looks at it. He sees how things are. He rarely gets called into anything that isn't some major emergency that he hasn't seen before, which isn't very often. And it can be managed once a month with a phone call with his managers at the various facilities, and okay, keep going.
Right.
And he's got this passive business now that allows him freedom of time to go create new things.
Right.
Right?
Yeah, he was even talking about that. He's like, yeah, it's like, I work when I feel like it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Kind of a cool full circle moment here is, so Steve Nye, again, power player, told me to read a book a couple months ago, Who Not How. And I'm very grateful I read that one because I needed that at the time. Because at that moment in time, I was trying to figure out how I wanted to transition into being a full-time entrepreneur. And I kept asking in my head, how do I do it? How do I do it?
Right.
And then I read the book and I was like, it's not.
I'm asking the wrong question.
I'm asking the wrong question. It was just like a ding moment.
Yeah.
And I was like, I've been building up my network intentionally for years now. And then I started actually praying. This is interesting. I started actually praying about wanting to have places where I could leverage my network. Because I was like, I've built this amazing network, but now I'm just like, for lack of a better say, I'm just like treading water in my network. So, you can have a great network, but if you're not doing anything, like, what's the point? So then I prayed on that for a while. Now I am getting over 100, and this goes back to, for the context of the audience, we were talking over lunch about how powerful your words are, and when you put an intention out, how, it'll show up.
Don't complain about it.
Yeah, don't
because here it comes.
Yes. And so this is why it's like a full circle, because so then I started praying on wanting to be able to utilize my network. Now I get, for me, this is a lot, about 100 new messages a day. And I have this OCD thing where I don't like to have any notifications. Like, I'm like, respond to everybody.
Clean phone club.
Yes.
No ones, twos.
No.
I'm caught up.
Yeah, I'm caught up.
Are you that way? No. Ryan and I are both part of the clean phone club.
Okay, gotcha. Yeah. So, and it's just, like, I want to be known as somebody who responds fast, all that.
Right.
And so I'm navigating that because I have all these people that are like, I put out in the world, like, come, like, I want to help you. If I can support you in your journey, come to me. And my wishes come true. And now I'm like feeling a little overwhelmed.
Here comes opportunities left and right because people have needs, and you've put it out that I'm here to help. Yes. And now what? I don't have an infrastructure to quite handle this. Right. Well, that's called building your parachute on the way down.
So I'm learning. I'm learning.
Well, this is what is special about, and I knew it would be, Chloe, special about this podcast is that we're not presenting, here's a key, here's how you put it in, and look at what I've built. No, that's not what this is about. This is, you're at the threshold with brains, with motivation, with philosophy, with passion, and opportunity is everywhere. And you're an entrepreneur, and you know that the W-2 life is not for you. What do I do? How do I do it? How do I bring value? How do I monetize the value that I bring? How do I create and live a deliberate, well thought out, well structured life by my own design that works? That's where you're at, and I can feel it, you can warm your hands on it. It's so radiant that's where you're at, right. And so this is going to really screw you up, because when this airs, believe me, you're not the only one that's right there, motivated by a lot of different roads that get you there, qualified by a lot of different things that get you there, but here you are. And you just sort of put yourself out there as like, and if I can help. Well, I think what helps is the camaraderie of those in the same place, and a community of those people you're tied to that have been there and have found a way.
Right. They walked the walk.
They've walked the walk. They've, this is my 50th year of being from that place to today of, okay, and you reinvent, and that didn't work. Okay, now we're not going to do that. We're doing this. And it's an evolution, but you have to choose the big rocks.
Yeah.
And then from there you start refining, you know?
Yeah, I definitely, one of the things you say that keeps popping in my head is the thing that I'm most clear about is, one, I'm extremely grateful for the people around me. Like, I mean, and that was a series of actions that I took up to this point.
Yeah,
right.
right.
And I'm clear that that's a beautiful, amazing, and no accident thing. Right.
Right.
And then the other thing is, like, I'm prepared to lean in, and I've always made my decisions based on my gut, truthfully. Like when I moved to Italy to pursue my dream of playing professional soccer, I found out about the opportunity in early July, and I was moving in late August. So I was like, all right, here we go.
Here we go.
But I just felt it.
Right.
And I'm starting to, I mean, this transition period for me leaving the W-2 has been now a month and a half. But I don't like to waste time, you know, the unforgiving minute is very, it's.
Well, here's an old Abe Lincoln that will challenge you, and I actually threw it your way the other day when we talked. It's I am all for urgency in the unforgiving minute, but there's this Abe Lincoln that says if I had a week to cut down a tree, I would spend 6 days sharpening my axe. And I believe that at a certain point, you get to a place of going, okay, I don't want to be reactive. I want to be responsive and well thought out. And I think of decisions I've made in my life that were reactive, and they didn't work out well. And so you're at this perfect place with almost like a board of directors around you to bounce ideas off of, to choose your path, to really commit to it. And when you commit to it, as you know, Providence gets off the bench and gets in the game.
Right.
Right? When you commit, Providence moves too. So you can feel that sense of extra energy come when you've committed, and now you're focused.
Yes.
And now you have a clarity of vision.
Yes.
And when you can see it before you're there, that's when the way to get there shows itself.
Totally, yeah.
Yeah, you're just so clear. You want to be a professional soccer player. I have no idea how that's going to happen, but I know the next thing is this, and the next thing is this, and every question you're asking, and every opportunity you're listening to, and every time you're talking to anybody that even knows what a soccer ball is, you're a magnet and a radar that leads to the answer. The team, the people, the coach, the whoever and next thing you know, there you are in a stadium in Europe going, how did I get here? Well, I committed to this, and then the way showed itself.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm very much looking forward to that feeling again of synthesizing. And I think that, again, I don't personally, for my personal philosophy, I don't think it's wrong to have, a bunch of different ventures. I think it's amazing when somebody's like, okay, I'm going to have this one thing and I'm going to go super deep into it. And I think that's amazing. I just don't think it's everybody's style, right?
No.
And so, but I know that I feel like for the next year or two, for sure, like you said, it doesn't have to even be that long of an amount of time, but it's just that focus, dedication for a period of time, whatever that period of time is, that can be so extremely life-changing. And having experienced it, I mean, it was about 20 years of, for me, getting up to the professional point.
Right.
So I'm like, it's not even, I really know about that, sacrifice and dedication towards something. And yeah, I think I'm that balance of, yes, acting, but also, like you said, sharpening the axe is that period for me is I like to be, I don't want to be rash in that decision. It's an important decision. So
yeah.
I like to literally mind, body, soul, full body. I know when,
Right.
you know what I mean? And
Yeah.
and there's the beautiful thing too, even with that, like now my intention is to gain that clarity of my next journey and go, and now the opportunities just in the next 2 months leading up, closing out Q4 and this year leading into, 2026, I've had these beautiful, literally like so aligned opportunities, which by the way, I want to let you know, I'll be seeing you in San Jose. Or no, is it San Diego?
San Diego.
San Diego.
Late January.
Late January.
Early February.
And
Yep.
so that among a couple other opportunities that have been presented to me, like that I know will solidify that clarity. And so even something as abstract as I'm just seeking clarity, even then things are present. Do you know what I mean?
Absolutely. No,
Yeah.
you can't you can't steer a parked car. You're in motion, but you're in motion seeking, and you're collecting and you're looking. I'm going to put a pitch in for real estate is that it can be direct or it can be indirect. And the skill set of negotiation and the skill set of deal structuring applies to so many things. You buy a business, it's deal structuring and negotiation.
100%.
It could be any kind of business.
Yes.
But then a lot of businesses require sticks and bricks and a place to work out of. Okay, well, there's real estate. So how many times have people backed into real estate by really passionately wanting to go out and be involved in this industry? And they go, oh, I want to go buy a boutique hotel because my passion is hospitality. I want to have a wellness spa. I want to serve people. I want to well, it just happens that that's a building too. And so you've got a business, you've got a building, all of it falls under the skill set of learning how businesses run, learning how to negotiate,
Yes.
learning how to bring value in your negotiation and deal structuring, creative ideas on how to solve point A to point B. And so this community that you're a part of, it has so many different ways you can take it, but the community and the skill set are going to serve you. I know you know that already. The community already is you're
powerful.
diving deep into so many in the community. And I've just given you another name. Remind me, I'll send you contact information because there's a trip to New York that you'll be wanting to take. And you'll get a tour like nobody's business. And while you're there, you can see a few other power players in New York, right? But I just think that the journey, when you're looking, when you seek, you'll find. But it's got to be very intentional. And it is. I can feel that. This is amazing. Tell me about, you mentioned the book Steve told you, it's who, not
how.
Who, not how. Yeah. Give me a couple other books or podcasts that have really, you feel like people should listen to.
Sure.
Yeah.
So another book, fictional book, which is not
I love that.
in our world. It's not as common to.
Yeah.
It's called The Name of the Wind by Patrick Rothfuss.
Name of the Wind.
Yes.
Huh.
You would,
Patrick Rothfuss.
correct. You would love this book,
Okay.
actually.
All right.
Actually, everybody should.
A fiction book.
Correct.
Okay. Okay.
It is my favorite book in the whole entire world. And I love it because, so it was supposed to be a trilogy. There is a second one. It's a little bit of a mystery because the third book was, the author had like a whole fan page and all this stuff. And the last thing that was like posted on it was that, looking to release the third book, next year. And then he just poof. No, nobody knows. It's just a mystery. So there's two books and they're both fantastic. But the first one particularly, the reason that it is my favorite book, it actually connects back to what I was talking about with my dad about anything being possible and having that mindset of like the way that the education system is set up now is, in my opinion, very, it's teaching students a certain knowledge and a way of being in the world that benefits maybe other people, right? Or businesses, at least from my research. Not going too deep into that. The book, the main character, he goes to a university that is still 100% science-based. Like literally the author is brilliant, because if you look at it from any angle, like I think we could replicate this school in our reality, right? It's not like a super far-fetched fictional thing. It's not
sci-fi.
It's kind of like it feels a little bit like Harry Potter and the Lord of the Rings combined vibe, but it's not like you have wands. It's just people. And the reason it's called The Name of the Wind, I mean, I don't think it's too much of a giveaway for if people want to read it, is the highest level you can achieve at this school is you can learn the name of things. And when you know the name of things, you can control them. So you can learn the name of the wind, and if you
really know the name, you can control the wind.
And for me, that really connects to, we're here talking a little bit, just what you were talking about real estate, is like the power that you have in a conversation, and that connection, going back to like humans, is like words are the most powerful thing. I mean, even also over lunch, we were saying how, the experiments done about how your words affect on a molecular level. It all connects back together. It's all just literal science, but it's an incredible story about this man and his journey. And it's changed. I've read the book multiple times, and it changes my life every time. It's the author is a different level of brilliant in terms of just his storytelling and character development, but also like what you take away, like the wisdom in that book is so deep.
Wow. Okay.
So, yeah.
Sold.
Okay. No. It's gonna be one of those ones where you're like, people will be like, "Wait, where's Cap? Have you heard from him?"
Really?
No. Yes.
I don't know. The wind took him away. Okay.
But yeah. So that one, not the fictional book. Another one of my favorite nonfiction is How to Win Friends and Influence People. That one I really needed personally, because even if I seem maybe quite friendly to you, I also have that's also something I've developed, because truthfully I've been pretty rough around the edges prior, and it's funny, somebody told me the other day, they're like, I bet you've been a captain on like all your soccer teams, and I was like, actually no, I've been a captain only 1 year of my life, because I've navigating like female relationships, I have a lot of very strong energy, and so I've developed being able to understand, I guess, actually how I come across is part of it, and then how just even softening a little bit and just having a little bit more of a balance, and even understanding feminine energy, because I'm very connected to my masculine energy, but I realized, I'm feeling a little imbalanced is the best way to put it. So that book for me was so much of a tool. And I truly believe, like, even regardless of your strengths or weaknesses, or, how you perceive yourself, it can really help people just in terms of the relational side of business.
Your awareness side, yeah.
Yeah, awareness side.
Funny, the very last podcast that was recorded this morning, that was one of Jim's recommendations too.
That's funny.
So Dale's gotten a shout out twice today.
Shout out. And that's funny, because me and him have like a very similar business.
Yeah.
So that's not surprising. And the last one I'm going to recommend is a podcast called Moonshots. Moonshots. It's a game changer. He's also, in terms of, if I was to, I have a goal to speak with the host of this podcast. That's I have a goal to have a worthy reason to speak with him, right? Don't want to waste his time. But he is a true futurist. He has multiple books. Truthfully, I have not read them yet, but I would love to. And he's now, basically the reason I think they're so powerful is he's trying to break down the concept of gatekeeping. And he's so integrated into so many different industries and companies. I mean, he has VC firm. He has these incredible annual masterminds. I mean, he is he's just brilliant. He's on a different level. I mean, he's MIT graduate. So his international network is incredible. And it started out as a bi-weekly podcast, maybe like, I don't know, I want to say maybe a year ago or so, or it was a little more less frequent or even regular. And now, because how much AI is picking up and everything, he actually produces them weekly, just a Zoom podcast, but with a couple other people. He's had some of the most like top Google people, like very, very, top executives and different people in different industries too. But it is knowledge that generally would not get out to the public within months. And just listening to their conversations, it's like I can't even. I feel like every single thing they talk about I'm learning.
Wow,
it's such a valuable, and for anybody, it's very important knowledge.
And is this tech a lot?
I mean, kind of. So his biggest passions, I would say, are tech and health. So he's very deep into. He's actually, his business partner is Tony Robbins. So they have a health business that, in terms of longevity science, he's gone really deep into longevity science. Just sciences in general. So that's why he's very interdisciplinary in terms of his ventures. But I would say it is kind of focused in the AI tech updates and health science. But then also that connects to all the different industries, because I remember learning about like tokenization in real estate. They're talking about that. Like I probably wouldn't have found out that for a while, because it's conversations in little pockets, niche pockets.
Well, we're really cutting edge on the real estate stuff. Yeah. That was Tyler Vincent, by the way, that gave that lecture in Nashville last year.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice. So it was new for me. And, even just knowing that like in 2026, the flying cars, 2028 Olympics, the U.S. team are going to be getting to utilize the first round of flying cars. And then that spurred this whole other fascinating conversation about real estate, and how when you have flying cars, think about the real estate that's going to be accessible, and the people that know that knowledge, they're already moving their business ventures on this stuff years prior to the public even knowing.
Right.
And only because you have that podcast now, right, I'm thinking about these things.
Cheap landlocked property is going to become accessible.
Right.
Flying cars.
And that's just like, you could have a whole podcast about that. Like, that's so fascinating.
That is, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we've had flying cars. They're called helicopters.
But these ones are like the ones in like Avatar, you know what I mean? You don't need a land, you just like, they're like a...
Right. They're like one of the Uber cars that you don't need a driver anymore. You just get in and it takes you there. Total Jetsons type stuff.
Yes.
Yeah. Do you even know Jetsons?
I do, yeah. But I didn't watch it because I didn't have TV, but I know the visual. Like...
Do you?
So I would say
how well do you know Jetsons?
Not well at all.
What's the dog's name?
I don't know.
See, I can tell you're not old enough to know the Jetsons, really. Yeah.
But I remember seeing like a vehicle that, like,
meet George Jetson, daughter Judy, Jane his wife, Elroy.
Chitty Chitty Bang Bang.
Chitty Bang Bang.
That's
pretty good. Oh my gosh. No, it's I think, well, it was Jim that said that and I'm going to get it wrong. I just listened to it and I went, what? From the beginning of time, like cavemen, to he said when we were in college, so let's say 1980, that block of knowledge, right? Now we are getting that amount of knowledge from the beginning of time to 1980. We're getting that amount of new knowledge in, what did he say? A day and a half. A day and a half of new information, new change, new everything is a day and a half that was thousands of years of evolution of thought and experience and knowledge and engineering and accomplishment and it's mind-bending.
It is mind-bending.
It's and the I know this is going to sound like a repeat in a sense, but it's worth repeating. And that the art form, the skill set, the discipline that is extinct is the quietness of the mind. Because it's coming at us so fast, in so much volume, with so much intention behind it. Every notification is intended to do something.
Right.
Every visual is intended to do something. Every Instagram, everything, everywhere, it all has a pull.
Yes.
And when it comes too fast, the physiological, neurological reaction is pullback, meaning now that everything that's coming at us creates a fear response. And what can grow in fear? Nothing. Nothing good can grow in
Well, I was
fear.
about to say, I was like
Nothing
like,
good can grow in
disease
fear.
or something, but-
And so to quiet and to let it in intentionally, with growth and passion being the purpose of letting it in, it's controlling a whole new world. Yeah. And so that it's kind of the sharpening the axe. It's like being in control of your mind and the path. There's a big dog walking a lot of people right now.
Oh yeah.
And to be on the other side of that and be in control of the next decision, the next choice.
Right.
It's a full-time mental job to just know that you're walking the dog.
Right. And how part of my thing is how many people can we inspire to walk their own dog, for lack of to say, opposed to being walked before. Because there's something actually that Peter Diamandis, the host of Moonshots, this podcast, another thing I learned from him is it's called have you heard of the singularity sprint? So we're in this period of time that's referred to as the singularity sprint, which is this period of 5 years where there's a lot of innovation happening in terms of, like if you like AI startups, tech startups, everybody's like, it's a creation phase. It's kind of like when the internet started, right? Like there's so much possibility.
Right.
But due to the powers at play, for lack of a better to say it, there is so much control on the back end going on that there is this window of time that is getting shorter. And even with the rate that you're referencing in terms of the growth and the knowledge and being produced, like they say 5 years, but that could be shrunk down to 3, where there's this divide, in society. I mean, I'm speaking in the U.S. It's, becomes a more complex conversation if you're going international, but where, like, for example, like I know like BlackRock has talked about, creating like a Netflix subscription-based system for renting kind of thing. But it takes away the power from individuals at the end of the day. And for me, that's why I do have quite a bit of urgency in what I'm doing right now, because
there's a window.
And that's a very real thing. There is a window.
Shakespeare talked about that. There's a tide in the affairs of men that, if taken at the flood, leaves to fortune, omitted the shallows, right?
You told me that saying when you first invited me to Power Players. And the next day when I sent you a message, I was like, I incorporated that.
Yep.
Yeah.
But it's I guess because he thought of it, it has been an awareness for a long time, and it's a truth that stays with us today. It's an ism that is timeless, that in everything there's a window. But windows open and close.
True.
And therefore you've got to recognize it. You've got to see it. And that's what you're saying. You're seeing a window.
Yes.
Yeah. Another gift of the entrepreneur is that we see an opportunity, we see a way of serving, we see a need, we see a gap to fill,
right,
and we take action.
Yes.
You know, could you imagine, being the one to go, okay, I'm waiting for a cab. I don't know if they're coming. I've called the place 3 times. I think I can picture somebody in some nasty ass wrecking yard office answering this phone, not really caring if somebody's coming or not. I'm worried. It's not here. I'm done with this. Allah, answer? Uber. Here's how we're going to solve that. Would anybody in their right mind think now I'm going to call a taxi cab and they're going to send somebody out to me? No one. No, it eliminated that in favor of this that is infinitely a million times better. And so I think that when we see in that window, we see opportunity, we've got to move quickly.
Yeah.
And then we make things better. And we create a business and we make the money, and the rest is history, as they say. Well, Chloe May Lamenzo, how does the world stay in touch with you? And everybody's got 18 ways, it seems like. I think I have one. But website, social media, phone, email, how do you want the world to connect with you?
Yeah, considering.
Or do you want the world to connect with you?
I was like, considering my
You're putting
recent-
yourself out
my
there, so I hope so.
recent-
Yeah.
No, yes.
Yeah.
I do want to be. At the moment, we do have. Well, I will have a website in a couple weeks, but it's not currently quite live. But honestly, for me, Instagram and LinkedIn are the best ways.
Okay. And spell your name so everybody gets it right, or the
Yeah, both my Instagram and my LinkedIn are my name. So Chloe, and then May, and then my last name you should be able to. I think on both those things, it's just all the way through. And then my last name is Lamenzo, Lamenzo, Lamenzo.
Chloe May Lamenzo.
Yeah.
I like the way you sound that. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. This has been fantastic.
Yeah.
Thank
I
you.
love talking with you.
Thank you for just riffing. And that's what this was intended to be. It's riffing on you as a young entrepreneur. I can tell you this, if you were a stock being offered up at X, there'd be a lot of buyers right now, because you can see, I can see. Anyone that's ever met you in my community of power players can see that you're going vertical. We're standing on tiptoes, watching where you launch, what form it takes, what
Right.
business it takes.
I'm right there with y'all. I'm so curious.
Yeah,
I'm excited too.
Well, we're all buying stock, and then we're gonna say we knew you when you weren't really sure what you were doing. We watched the podcast, but
cool.
you are sure. You're sure of yourself. You're sure of the ingredients that take to make it. You're sure of what you don't want, and you're real clear on what you do. So now it's just vehicle.
100%.
And you're going to figure it out, and we're all going to know.
100%. I'm excited.
All right.
And I do have to say also, like, for me, like, from the first conversation I've had with you, like, every single time, and that's one thing I have to give a shout out to Greg and the community you've maybe unintentionally created, but attracted, developed. I know there is a lot of intentionally behind that as well. And power players too, is that if you are, because regardless of age, like I'm 27, but I mean, my mom jokes about her 50s or her new 20s, and she's still figuring out what she wants to do. Like age is a thing, but I know at any point we all are going through transitions, and there's different periods where you have these decisions to make, right? And, for me, making the investment to going to power players was truly one of the best decisions I ever made because of the people. And I know you've already mentioned it multiple times in this podcast, and it's just when you surround yourself with people that also love to be generous, loves to give value. And imagine being in a room full of 50 people, which we were just in Maui of all places, where people are literally coming up to you to help you. Like they're like, take my number, so I can meet you for coffee because I want to see how I can like support your journey. That's just not something you're going to find everywhere, period. And so for me, like, I'm so grateful that, you know, I gave you a proposition a year and a half ago. And
well, it's to the benefit of everyone, Chloe, and you've been such a benefit to the community. I do say this, I know every single week of my life for many, many years, that if I dropped dead the minute Power Players was done, and I had nothing left to give you, that the community of Power Players is worth the tuition you've paid times 1,000.
Right.
It literally becomes the people you hang with, you respect, you draw from, you give to forever. Yes. I feel so blessed to have watched this. This is, wow, number 43 is coming up. Incredible. In January. You know, I mean, incredible. 43. Who would have thought that there would be 43 gatherings of Power Players? But it's a providential thing, and I feel blessed every day. Mm-hmm. The community is absolutely mind-bending.
It is.
It's mind-bending. So thank you for being a huge part of it. Thank you for the shout out and endorsement for it, because it really is something. It is. I can't believe they let me in. I'm not kidding. I really mean it. It's just like, I just look around and go, how the hell did I get in this door? It's amazing. But we're lucky.
Yes.
All right, my dear. And thank you again. And for all of you watching this podcast, thank you. It means a lot that you listen to it. It means a lot that you pass it on and share it with people. I get blessed every week by somebody calling who I've never heard of in my life, who has said, wow, I watched this podcast with so-and-so, and that was really awesome. And all I can say is, yeah, they're awesome. And I'm like you. I'm lucky that I know them. Now you know them. I know them. And so thank you very much for sharing this with me. Till next time, this is Pinneo, over and out.